What's good, everybody? It's your boy back with another reaction video, and I'll be reacting to three scary true pizza delivery horror stories. I believe this is from Mr. Nightmare. Uh, Here we go.
So, I've been a pizza delivery guy for a decent amount of time, and I usually get stuck with a crappy shift of 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. I live in a pretty small city out in the boonies, so there's only like one murder per year in our area.
4 a.m.
Well, last month there were 3 back-to-back murders, and we as drivers keep on that stuff.
Is that a 24-hour pizza
We
place?
average out pretty good for just driving around the city all night, so it wasn't anything to get too worked up about. Anyway, it was probably around 1 a.m. and there was only me, another driver, a cook, and our manager who's in his mid-20s, and he's really cool and understanding because he had been a driver in his teens. We were all finished with all the cleaning and stuff like that because it was an unusually slow night that night. Then we finally got
At 1 a.m. What city do you live in?
I was the so-called lucky one to get to take this delivery down the dirt road in the middle of nowhere. I personally had never delivered to that area, but it was about 10 miles away from where I lived, so I knew there was only going to be about 5 houses on that lonely 4 miles of road. I put the pizzas in my car and started on the
This
drive.
look like
I had just put in 2 12-inch subwoofers in the back of my 99 Honda Accord to complete my white trash look. But they weren't secured in there, and being an unkept dirt road, I was driving pretty slow. My GPS told me I had arrived, but it was about a mile off. So I turned down the
oh
subs
yeah,
and
I
pulled up to
hate
what I believed
driving
to
in
be the
rural
house.
areas like that with
The
GPS.
boss has a thing about
They're a lot
never
better.
pulling up in the driveway, no matter how much of a walk it is. And this was one of those times that I
What?
thought I'd actually do what he said.
That's stupid.
I grabbed the pizza and receipt and walked up to the door. It was a long driveway, and what sucked
this is
was they had
definitely in the
audacity
South.
to leave all the outside and inside lights off to the house. Probably just watching a movie, I thought to myself, as it wasn't this unusual this time of night.
That's
I
weird.
got up to the door and knocked.
You think you cut the you always cut the porch light off? You just make the delivery.
10-mile drive here for nothing. I knocked again and again. I started to get uncomfortable.
You should be
a
a
quiet sound of someone or something walking. It was coming from around the side of the house that I couldn't see. I was getting a bit unnerved and decided this was a great time to start heading back to my car. I didn't want to go back empty-handed, though. When I got to the safety of my car, I decided to ring up the person and see if they were just asleep. I was probably just imagining the footsteps or mistaking them for the creaking of the old house. No answer.
That sounds like leaves
Decided
crushing.
to head over to the door one last time.
Oh
for
my
one final
god!
knock.
No.
So I put my phone on flashlight mode and walked up to the door. One more knock and nothing. This time I heard the footsteps again, and I turned my light and saw a man wearing some sort of werewolf mask.
Man.
I bolted to my car with him closely on my heels, but it was obvious that he wasn't the fastest man out there, and I easily made it to the car with
Because he thought he was going to be able to get behind you and cut you off.
Floored it, almost hitting the man with my car. I called the police.
You should have hit his ass.
While yes, this call had been made from inside their house, the actual residents were out of town. This was only a few days ago, and they haven't found the guy. I included a picture of the house for all to see. I was parked by the red, and the yellow indicates where the guy was.
Wait, you walked
I still
that
wonder if this man
far?
was part of the murders in our quiet little town. But whoever that was,
Ain't no way in
probably
hell I
went in
walked
it
that.
for the pizza.
Fuck your supervisor. Ain't no way in hell I'm gonna walk that far because you don't park in people's driveway, especially if the driveway's that far, man. That's a road. Fucking driveway.
On a lazy Friday night when I had the house to myself, I was chilling in the living room with the lights off, watching movie after movie. It was past like 10, and I had a craving for pizza, so I ordered a pie from the local late-night pizza place.
There's no pizza place around me that stays open
Part of
past
the reason
10.
why I chose to just
And
stay in
you
and
have
watch
to
movies.
you have to order your
Ironically,
pizza
I was
by
watching some
9:30
scary movie
because
at
they
the moment,
cut
and
the
at some point
ovens
during
off.
that, I heard loud steps coming up the front stoop outside. I waited for.
Well, I should say they cut the ovens up, but they stopped making
didn't hear
pizzas
either.
that come.
I muted the TV out of curiosity.
You can't make an order after
Then went to
9:30.
the front door and quietly lifted the slider above the peephole to look out at who could be on the porch. I was expecting to see the pizza guy, but at first all I thought
But
I
you
saw
saw
was black.
Dan.
It took me a few moments to realize I was looking back at someone's eye, pressed up on the other side of the peephole. I I basically leaped back from being startled. I called through the door, asking if it was the pizza guy. A deep man's voice called back, "Yes, it is." But something wasn't right.
Yes, it
I looked
is.
through the peephole again.
Please open the
Now it seemed
door.
like the man on the other side was covering it with his hand or something.
So this some purge
I
shit.
didn't know what to do, other than yell, "Why are you covering the peephole?" He didn't respond to that. Instead, he just knocked on the door. I yelled at him to please leave, and I walked away from the door back to the living room. A few moments later, the doorbell rang, and I heard the same deep voice yell, "Pizza, open up." I once
I'm
again
like, this
got
dude
up and
must
went
think
to
I'm an
check through the
idiot. Like
peephole.
he's insulting my
He's still
intelligence
covering
now.
it. I shouted at him again to please leave or I'd be calling the police. Now I turned off the TV to allow for total darkness in the house. All I could hear for a while was the sound of the pouring rain outside. When I went back to the front door to look through the peephole once again, now I was able to see through it. The man was no longer on the stoop. I called the pizza place and asked the guy who picked up the phone if he could check if the delivery driver had arrived to my house yet. I of course explained what was going on and why I was asking for that. He said he'd give the driver a call and then call me back. So I hung up and waited like 2 minutes. And the guy called me back to tell me that the driver had not yet arrived to my house, and he suggested that I call the police. He also said the driver would call me when he arrives. I thanked him and hung up the phone. Next thing I remember is hearing knocks from the backyard door.
Oh boy.
I felt like this couldn't be happening.
Well, he like pizza at the back door. Like,
I crept to the back door.
but this
because I
dude's
pulled down
insulting
the
my
blind, which
intelligence
covers the
now.
glass for privacy. It was currently pulled down. This next part I still don't understand. Even though I crept quietly to the back door, as soon as I got there, that same familiar voice said, "I see you there, open the door." Then he tried opening it himself, but thank God it was locked.
What if?
Once again, I yelled, "I'm calling the cops" if he didn't leave.
Wait a minute.
By luck of good timing, my phone began to ring, and it was the real
What if? What if there was a twist, and they did open the door, and it's like the fucking guy from Don't Breathe, or or the person in the house is just is a psycho, and it turns into. I'm pretty sure they done a movie like that where it's like you think the person, what it was like a home invasion. Well, yeah, what was it the Collector? I almost said Bone Collector, but that was Denzel. That's something else. I think it was the Collector where it was a guy breaking into a house to steal, but some rich people's house. They steal their shit, and a serial killer was in there, and he lays like he lays like traps and shit, almost like a jigsaw, except he's not trying to, I guess, better people by horribly mutilating them, like Jigsaw's supposed to be doing. He just like I just like killing people in real elaborate ways, or people I guess killing themselves on my devices. And I remember that's what happened with that guy. So he was the bad guy breaking into the house, but then he ends up becoming the good guy by saving. I think he saved like the family's daughter or one of their kids. Or I think they had like 2 kids or something. He ended up saving them. And ended up getting his hands like fucked up. I remember he got messed up a bit, but not horribly mutilated, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of like that reverse, where it's the person you think is the bad guy is actually, I guess, the good guy or the normal guy, and then the person in the house is the actual homicidal maniac.
pizza guy calling to say he was here. I told him to please come to the front door quickly. I opened the front door for him and let him in. He asked if I needed help, and I begged him to stay with me until the police would show up. And he did me that favor. Police showed up within 10 minutes. Having someone there waiting with me made me feel a lot better. There weren't any other disturbances from that man outside from the time the pizza guy got there to the time the police left. I went straight to sleep after that. I went so far as to pushing my dresser in front of my door, just as a desperate act of feeling safe. Thank God that
Oh man, I would have pissed and shit and threw up all at the same time. If I would have heard my bedroom door like move, yeah, I'd have pushed my dress up against. Oh, I'm about to die.
It was a little past 9 p.m. on a Saturday 3 years ago.
Gino.
Back when I was delivering pizzas for this pizza place called Gino's. It was my last
I
delivery.
had a friend named Gino.
My last
a long
delivery
time
of
ago.
that
I ain't
place
talked
ever,
to him
actually. Not because my shift was
Over
ending,
20
but for
years.
reasons you're about to find out. I was supposed to deliver one regular pizza to this house around 10 minutes from the restaurant. I got there relatively quickly because I drive fast. It was a gated property, so I had to park on the street and walk through the gate up the decently long pathway to the front door. There, I rang the bell and waited. No one answered after a minute, so I rang it again. I knew the doorbell was working because I heard the ringing from outside. Finally, the lights in a room next to the front door turned on, so I naturally looked up to the window, and there were two people looking out the window at me. Extremely off-putting and unnerving. As I looked back at them, the front door opened, and a man wearing some pig mask opened the door.
Oh, fucking
Couldn't see his
Jigsaw.
face, but he sounded very joyous for the arrival of the pizza.
I want to play a game.
He apologized for their costumes and said they were having a role-playing party.
Oh, are they fucking?
Told me to come in for a second since it was cold and that he'd go fetch his wallet.
Man, fuck you.
So I stepped into the house
No.
and he shut the door behind me. Then he
It's
disappeared
like
into
I'll
another
wait
room.
outside.
I stepped forward a few feet to get a view into the adjacent room. The two people I saw standing at the window moments before were gone. The man called me into another lit-up room nearby.
No,
I didn't feel too comfortable, to
Yeah,
be completely honest.
don't go in there.
The whole mask thing was insanely weird, and the two creepy people watching me at the window.
Especially if they didn't take their mask off.
Still holding the pizza box, I walked to the other room. As I passed the living room into the room next to it, I was just speechless as to what I saw. There were 6 chairs covered in white sheets arranged in a circle. 4 of them were being sat on by other people
Some
wearing
purge
bizarre
shit.
plastic animal masks. The guy in the pig mask who opened the door said,
Purge.
"Come in, it'll just
It's
be a
purge
moment."
shit, but they also
I asked,
cannibals.
"What are you guys role-playing exactly?" All 5 of them erupted into this creepy laughter, making me even more uncomfortable. The man in the pig mask told me to sit in one of the empty chairs.
No, I gotta go
I
back
looked
to
at him
work.
without saying a word. Then I saw someone else creepily entering the room, kind of half hiding behind a wall opposite me. He was wearing a frog mask. I said, "You can just have the pizza," as I started to back away. There was no more laughter, no verbal response. 2 of the people in chairs got up and started moving towards me.
Oh,
So
boy.
I did the only thing I could think to.
Oh,
I threw the pizza box as hard as I could at them into the room and ran for the front door. And then I sprinted to my car.
I'm surprised you didn't
Yes, I
unlock
was
it.
chased outside. One of them tried breaking my passenger side window as I hightailed it out of there.
Wow.
I floored it down the street and went back to the pizzeria.
This definitely
Told my
sounds
boss what
purge
happened.
shit.
That I was basically robbed, if not about to be kidnapped or worse. He didn't even want to call the cops.
This in the
With
UK?
that, I quit that job that night. Against my better judgment,
He said,
I
"I
got another
quit.
pizza
Fuck
delivery job
this."
a few months later, but nothing even remotely close to something this strange ever happened again.
You know, I'm not necessarily for people like quitting their jobs like that, but if you feel uncomfortable, yeah, definitely quit. Like, or I guess if you're being mistreated anyway, you should definitely quit. I know, like I said, I know it can be hard out there. You don't want to lose your job, so you trust me. I've done it. I do it. Where you deal with a lot of bullshit, and because you like, I need this job, and they know you need it, so they like, oh, well, I can treat you like shit, because you ain't gonna just quit, you know. That's why actually I take my hat off to people who like knowing that they're in a tough situation, but they're like, I'm not gonna be treated like this, and they'll just quit. Like, fuck this. Like, I'm curious what his delivery job was after that. Was like an Amazon type job or FedEx, where like you drop packages off, and as long as they're not in full view of the street, you don't need to leave like a slip. So, but basically, you don't need to. Someone doesn't need to answer the door necessarily, unless it's specifically, or this needs to be signed for. You know, you just drop it off, and don't have to interact with nobody. But I mean, I would have not gone there. I would have said like, when they were like, "Oh, you can come in," I'd be like, "Nah, I'm not supposed to come in people's houses." You know, especially nowadays because of COVID, people definitely not coming in your house. But even before that, like, no, I'll just make up a lie and say that's against like store policy or something, that we can't go in people's houses, you know. And they're like, oh, they like, well, how would they know? Like, well, sometimes managers will follow us around to make sure that we doing the right thing. We're not stealing or anything like that. So I was like, I would just make up any excuse to be like, cause like, how the fuck would you know? I'm telling the truth. Unless you worked at Domino's, like, or that particular pizza place, because if it's like that, like this, some, you know, probably some small town pizza place where it's the only one that exists, mom and pop's type place. So like, you don't know what their policies are. I wouldn't do that anyway. I just don't feel comfortable going in your house, especially if you have a mask on. And my lips are dry as hell. They've been dry for like the past couple of days. I'm just dry. No matter what I put on, it just dry out. But like I come to your door, you have pig mask on. You're like, oh, sorry about the mask. We're having like a party or something, like a masquerade party or whatever. And you don't take the mask off when I come to the door. And you see, I'm the pizza guy. I'm not like one of your friends or something coming to the party. Then that's automatically a red flag right there. I'm like what? Like why would you go to you need somebody delivering something, and you having a party and you have a mask on? You just come to the door and don't take the mask off. Like hell no. Like fuck out of here. Like he did right throwing that pizza, but anyway, I ain't quitting that job. I hope you enjoyed my reaction. And if you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up button down below. Be sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell or you won't be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.